Hey everybody, my name is Matt and welcome back to the Coffee Bar Podcast. And as you can see, there is nobody else joining me. Unfortunately, I don't have another guest, but Stu will more than likely be a recurring appearance on the podcast. And that's something that I'm super excited about potentially having homies like join me to talk about different things related to gaming. But today is also going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast episode. Part of it is actually really bad time management. So we'll kind of keep things relatively simple, but this is also going to be something that I want to include in podcast episodes moving forward as a little bit of a segment before getting into main topics. And what today's topic is going to be is what gaming have I been doing recently? I was actually inspired by the idea when I had brought the question up to Stu while he was on the last episode. If you have not watched that episode, when you finish this one, go and check that out. Stu's a wonderful dude. He's been posting stuff since the Palworld 1.0 went live, so definitely go give him some support. Go and check out the stuff that he's doing over on his channel. But the first question that I had asked him is, what have you been gaming on recently? And after the episode, as I was really thinking about it, and I went, well, it'd be kind of cool to talk about stuff that I've been gaming on, partially since I'm really infrequent with streaming as of recently. Partially just kind of life going on, just like busy. I've got this going on and this and that, and I'm also kind of tweaking my stream schedule. Hopefully the same day that this goes live, which at the time of recording is tomorrow, I should be going live. Not 100% sure what time, but hopefully should be able to actually be playing a little bit more Legend of Zelda. If we can get a couple dungeons, would be awesome. I've also been really bad about getting VODs edited, which is part of why my time management has been so bad is the gaming that I've been doing recently, and that's really eaten up a lot of my time. And so we'll just kind of jump into the topic. And like I said, this is going to be something that I'm going to talk about a little bit, not nearly as in-depth in episodes moving forward, but I figured it'd be kind of cool to spotlight games or things that have happened recently that I think were kind of cool and are just really worth noting. The first one is actually a game I've owned a few years, and I've wanted to play this since I was in high school. I believe that was around the time that it came out, but Transformers War for Cybertron. I grew up being a Transformers fan, and I don't have it on screen, but over to my right, when the HasLabs was doing the Omega Prime, I had to read the box. They were doing an Omega Prime release, and it was the Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus that came out. That was in Transformers Robots in Disguise. I think it was about 1999 to 2001, somewhere in that ballpark, was when that series aired, if I remember correctly. If I'm not correct, let me know in the comments below. I'm more than welcome to be called out for not having that information available. But I actually backed that HasLab deal, and as I'm looking over, as I'm actually looking at the HasLabs, and then you can see, I know the video portion where you actually see me is going to be small, but if you look right there is, I can't remember the name of the deal, but there was the Robots in Disguise Optimus, but it was an alternate coloring, so it's actually a yellow Optimus. And I've had that, the Optimus specifically, I've had since I was probably 10, I think. And then I just never was able to get my hands on the Ultra Magnus, which you can see combined with the Optimus. I think I got that somewhere within the last 6 years. Somewhere, I think it was about 6. I was finally able to find one. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I finally have one of the Transformers that I've wanted since I was a kid. Picked it up. I kind of put all the pieces together, and I've been just displaying them over there. I do have another Transformer over there. Maybe a collection thing, but not really for this episode. High ADHD. But no, Transformers War for Cybertron. Game I wanted to play since it came out. The art style looked really good. I really liked the designs of the Transformers. And being that I was primarily gaming on an Xbox 360, for that generation, is the Xbox 360 is what I had. And I know my stepdad's mom, she had a Wii for me and my siblings to like go over and play just whenever. And but at least where, at my house, we had a Xbox 360, and I just never was able to get my hands on War for Cybertron. Finally got to play it, and it was incredible. Game's been out. It came out 2010. So, where was I going with that? Game came out in 2010. I can't remember. There was somewhere that I was going with that. But I did finally get my hands on this probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I played a little bit of it, but I think I maybe completed a mission and a half, and then I just dropped the game. I think I was just kind of jumping in. I was kind of bouncing between a couple of different games. And I think the point I was making is the game came out in 2010. Even though it is that old, I'm going to try not to spoil it. If for whatever reason you were listening to this and it is a game you were interested in playing, the way that it's set up is you can choose your campaign to play. You can either do Decepticon or Autobot. And so I decided to do the Decepticon campaign first. And the way that it played is it was almost it felt a little bit like this would be a split campaign kind of a game, where it's you pick your side and it'll kind of determine, you get like a different ending. But what it actually is it's all one cohesive story. So, you do, because the Decepticon campaign starts at chapter 1, and then you go through, Autobot starts chapter 6, so then 6 through 10. And really what the Autobot campaign kind of picks up right after the Decepticon. I don't know if there's it's supposed to be a time gap, but it's a very fluid story, and all goes into the same end game. I think it was a really, really well done job. Actually, before I was started recording the episode, I was trying to see on a scale of 1 to 10 how would I rate War for Cybertron, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how I'd rate it. It was really, really fun. There's not really customizability, but one of the really neat things about the game is that because there are the different weapons you can pick up, is you almost there's kind of a loadout customization as you're playing through, but not really, since you're not able to customize the loadout before you go into a mission. But really, I really did enjoy the game. It was hard to put down. The environment looked great. You're on the planet Cybertron. Makes sense because of the name. And Activision was actually a part of like one of the companies attached to this. They did a really, really good job on War for Cybertron, so huge props to them for that. Played through that, had a blast, and after that, I ended up going to a game that I had played years and years ago, and it was always a game that I wanted to play through because I like the idea of it, and that is Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. When I went into it is when I first played this was really at a time where like shooter titles, whether it was third person or first person, were kind of my main focus for gaming. I would do some stuff like I played Oblivion, I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed, and just kind of one-offs, but it was a lot of shooter titles. So it was your Halos, your Call of Duties, Ghost Recons, Army of Two, I remember I played that. And when Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Future Soldier would come later on. One day I will talk about that game because, spoiler, love that game. But Advanced Warfighter, it was cool because you have this near future kind of gimmick to it. There's like all these kind of additions to the HUD, and it's supposed to be I'm trying to remember around the time, because there was a lot of buzz with it, and it was like the weapons and I think the vehicles and the gear, I believe, were all things that were actually being either developed or used by the military. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool gimmick. It's kind of a near future sort of thing. Get to see this stuff. And when I started playing Advanced Warfighter, the controls are so bad. The controls are clunky, the gameplay's really clunky, the gunplay in the game is really clunky. And I felt I could see why I had dropped the game years ago, because I had gotten to a point in the game where I was just stuck and I wasn't able to progress. I remember trying, okay, well, there's this building I gotta get around. Well, okay, well, maybe if I go this way, okay, that didn't work. Well, I'll go this way. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe there was another building that I could go over next to it, so I was like taking the long way. Maybe that would... And just a lot of things just were not working. And coming back to try and play through Advanced Warfighter is really seeing like, okay, I can understand why I dropped it. I don't like how the controls feel now, which I'm not sure if and or how I was able to tolerate the controls before. The HUD's a little bit difficult to navigate. Maybe this is something where, should I decide to go back to Advanced Warfighter to eventually go into Advanced Warfighter 2, possibly see if I can kind of change the controller layout, if I have enough customization to move things where I feel more comfortable after having the extra years of experience with different shooter titles, including Future Soldier or more modern Halos, Call of Duty, like that kind of stuff. I think that might help a little bit as to like keeping or like bringing my interest back. But not a super big priority yet. I think there's a couple more games that seem a little bit more interesting, including the one I am working on right now. This one has actually also been really, really difficult to put down. And at the time of recording this, I am on the last level of this. And it has a lot of similarity to a series that is among one of my all-time favorites. And the game that I'm talking about that I'm almost done with is Thief from 2014. This, in a lot of ways, and it came out around the same time as Dishonored. And it's because I have not played the older games in the Thief series, I cannot say if Dishonored really was influenced by Thief, but because this is supposed to be the 2014 version of Thief is a reboot, I do believe that Dishonored likely pulled quite a bit of inspiration from the series. Very much a stealth kind of title. Sneak around. There's this supernatural power you have access to that lets you see notable areas in the environment. So it's like, okay, that spot I can shoot an arrow at, and it'll a rope arrow. I fire the arrow and it'll drop a rope that I can use, or I don't know the name. I can see the specific like panel, but it's like, okay, there's this part in the environment that I can use to actually climb higher up, just kind of helping with the navigation, parkouring around the city. But you also have, the game is broken up into multiple missions, and you kind of have to navigate to the starting point of the mission. You start it, you do your navigation, you pick up the loot as you go, you complete your story objectives, and at the end of each mission it'll put a screen up, and it'll be like, okay, this is how much of like the loot you collected. There's how many takedowns, how many alarms did you raise, raising suspicion, stuff kind of along those lines. And you have all that information, but you also have what play style did you complete this mission under. For Thief is you have it under Ghost, Opportunist, or Predator. Ghost being is nobody saw you. You just kind of did whatever through the mission. Nobody found you. Opportunist is utilizing the environment to utilizing the environment to your advantage. And then Predator is you basically just hunted down whoever that got in your way. And so it's kind of cool having those different options as you're playing through. And it adds a little bit of a challenge to, obviously there's already the challenge of maneuvering through to, make sure you're not snuck up on, or you're not attacked while you're sneaking or anything like that. Because the combat, if you get into combat, that is not fun at all. You have bow and arrow, and you have they call it the blackjack, and it looks like a little bit like it's not a mallet. it does look a little bit like a small mace. Like, mace maybe somewhere about that ballpark if you're watching the video. Probably about as tall as my head, maybe a little bit taller. Maybe about 4 inches wide. But it does have, kind of tapers in, and you have the handle that you can hold and be able to hold it comfortably. But it does have grooves on it, and that's actually the utensil that is used when you're climbing up. So those, like, corrugated, still not the right word, but it's kind of it looks like a panel, and if you think of a fence, chain link fence, it's almost like wood, kind of in that, like, cross pattern. And it's, this little rectangle that's got this kind of chain link pattern looking thing in it, and you use it to be able to climb up higher. So that's your blunt weapon. And then you have your bow and arrow, which you have to take time to pull back. You do not move super, super quick, especially when you're trying to escape from somebody who's chasing you down with a sword. The blackjack does not do that much damage. It just kind of... It's annoying if you do get caught. So you're really reliant on, if you're going to get caught, you better take care of that issue before they actually detect you, or, crazy idea, just hide. That's kind of what has ended up kind of having to be what I've done. I'm in the last mission. I've really, really enjoyed the game as I've gone through it. It's definitely not a game that I have ghosted. If you have seen me over on stream, which I will have a link to that down below, twitch.tv/TheCoffeeBarr. You've seen any of my other VODs, you'll see I'm not a very patient gamer. I'm a very, like, run and gun type. And that is a huge factor as to why I'm really bad at games too. Legend of Zelda has been a very clear indicator of that. But Thief has been an absolute blast. Really, really been enjoying playing through that. I've also, and I don't typically play games in early access, but Grovnak, the lovely homie that was joining me when I did the co-op Elden Ring streams, actually brought to my attention a really neat game called Impulse. And part of the reason he was kind of interested is he's like, it looks like Brink meets Titanfall. And so he and I have been playing that. It is in early access, and it is so much fun. I've really fallen off a lot when it comes to first-person shooters and kind of the live service, online only type of thing. But I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And it was actually, once he got the early access, downloaded it, I was actually hanging out over with him, and we got to run a couple matches of it. And the two of us are cracking up. I mean, stomachs hurting, faces hurting, just hysterical time. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to go download this. This is so much fun. So I put a handful of hours in on that. Absolute blast. If you are into first-person shooters, it's brighter color schemes. So haven't ever played Titanfall or Brink, so I'm really going based off of the word from my homie. But very Brink in art style and setting. The soundtrack for during the game as well as on the menus is phenomenal. The mech portion of it, very Titanfall-esque. You do also have the free running. A couple other cool things you have is there's a grappling hook. So you can use it on environments. You can also use it on your enemies, actually. So there is certain medals where it's if you get a melee, like a melee kill when you grapple somebody, you get a special medal. Well, because there's mechs, if you you grapple onto the mech and then get the, blow up the mech, you get a special medal. But if you die while you're trying to get that melee, you get a medal in the game in each match, and it's super super goofy. So you have the grappling hook that lets you interact with the environment a little bit, but you also have paints, and you unlock them as you go through. You unlock weapons. As you use the weapons, you unlock like the perks for them. You unlock character perks, whether that be I think there's like there are 3 different spots. There's universal weapon perks. There's I think it's perks related to the paint, and then perks related to when you're operating mechs. And what the paint has a handful of different options. So you throw it down, and it can either boost your speed, cause you to, I think it boosts your jump, slows you down, blows up, or heals. So you have a lot of really cool versatility in loadouts that you can play within the game. And I really found that kind of additional gimmick a lot of fun. One of my favorite parts about the game, the mechs are incredible. I turn into a bit of a demon if I get put into a mech. And the other is if you throw the speed paint, because you can slide, is if you slide into the speed paint, is you could probably slide half of the map if you catch just right. It's ridiculous. I think I have more fun just sliding around the map than anything. Incredible experience. Even if I'm bad at the game, I would highly recommend it to anybody. If you're looking for a first-person shooter that's got a little bit of a brighter art style, really neat setting, you like mechs, if you're a Brink fan, a Titanfall fan, this is a game I would definitely recommend. Also, $15, not too terrible, and I think just the little bit of experience that I've got, the $15 was 100% worth it. Very excited to see when the game does reach full release. So we'll kind of see what that looks like once that happens. I think video game wise, that is it. Tabletop, I actually haven't done any tabletop gaming. I think over the last 2 weeks. Part of it is I'm actually scheduling with a homie about playing some Star Wars Shatterpoint next week. Should be doing that actually in just a few days. Starting to get a little bit of that Shatterpoint kick back. my collection has grown a little bit, but is still small enough where I don't have a lot of the versatility that I would want or would like to have. So, I am still like having to borrow some models for some homies, and it's like, hey, I want to test this list, but I don't have like maybe the units out of this box or whatever. But that's gonna be what I'm doing here in a few days. Legion, I haven't done any gaming. Part of that is, one, I'm really bad with the rules. Found out that I've kind of cheated in a handful of games. So working on just trying to get better about the rules. And I'm also working on trying to get more stuff painted. That way it's, okay, I now have a lot more flexibility. I have the ability to use maybe this unit that I've like built a list for, but I don't really like using unpainted models. There's something kind of icky about that. So just try and get stuff painted, and that way I can then get it on the table and just have a heyday. So that's really been it for like Legion. Blackout, I have not played. I think oh jeez, I think it's been over a month since the last time I played Blackout. I have my box for the faction that I'm playing. I haven't gotten them built and painted. Legion's really taken up like my painting hobby time, and I think maybe next week I'll do an episode or a new video on the tabletop channel, which if you are not subscribed, that will be in the description below as well. Kind of talking about like why I picked the Galactic Republic as a faction. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, Blackout, I just haven't been able. I've been able to work on Blackout stuff. It's just I would rather have my attention directed towards Legion right now, just because it's my main faction. Try and get stuff done and ready for the table so I can actually use it. But yeah, at least the gaming side of tabletop has been pretty quiet. Have been working on painting a decent batch of minis. Now, yesterday at the time of recording this, I played in a Star Wars Unlimited pre-release. Hey, remember when I said when I was like, hey, I'm not really a TCG player anymore? I still sometimes play a little bit, but like, it's not. I'm not playing like local tournaments, and it's the Ashes of the Empire set. It was, once I had seen the cards that were in, I'm like, okay, this is kind of a cool set. I could play in a pre-release, but it's like episode 6 and up to episode 7, like some kind of in that window. So you have stuff from, episode 6, the Ahsoka show. There's some Star Wars Rebels mixed in. There is a little bit of the episode 7 stuff. And I think there's some other media mixed in. I just can't remember exactly offhand, but that's really the main focus. And the pre-release was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy getting to, kind of see some of the new cards. Oh, that's what it was. Mandalorian. That's the other show that was, sprinkled into the set. I had a blast. I ended up playing. It was the Luke that is the leader of the Spotlight deck with and it was like Rebels Mandalorian. So it was kind of a neat deck. The idea of the deck is try and, it wasn't really low to the ground, but just kind of get get offense in, try and create your shielded Mandalorian token, so you get a one-time shield to block damage. But with the armor, when you play her out, if a unit has the shielded keyword, drop a shield on it. And I believe there's a lot of Mandalorians that have shielded, so you could potentially double shields on your Mandalorians. It was a neat deck. The only complaint that I have as to why, and I ended up losing all of my games, and I think part of it is Luke was a little bit. It takes longer to deploy, and I didn't have enough of a bottom end. If I would have maybe chosen a different base and gone with a different color combination, I might have been a little bit better off going into the games. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to get to kind of do a cool thing. Mandalorians, Rebels, Luke, whatever. And I still had a blast regardless. Was able to get a handful of cards from the set just to potentially pad out a casual Darth Vader deck. It's like Darth Vader Empire kind of thing. So just was able to kind of, pick up some stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, cool card, cool shiny cardboard, like that sort of thing. But yeah, so gaming, it's been a pretty heavy gaming week, just kind of across all of the gaming hobbies that I indulge in, and that's part of why I still haven't worked on a better Legend of Zelda map than the one that I might have shown in a podcast episode before, but I know I definitely showed on stream. Hopefully get back into the swing of it. I might just have to say screw it and use the really bad map, but maybe reposition the really bad map on the graph paper, so that way it can actually... That way I can fit the rest of the map, if that makes sense. But that'll be it for today's episode. Plan is hopefully same day this drops, I should be streaming. Again, Twitch link will be down in the description below. I do actually have a plan for next week's topic. It is going to be covering some news that's a little bit old, but I think it is going to be relevant to the topic that I will be discussing. It is also a question that was posed in the previous episode. So I think kind of moving forward, some of those questions that I do intend to ask guests is I would like to end up being able to cover in podcast episodes and maybe go over a little bit in depth as to my thoughts on them. Should I have extended thoughts on said topics. Also try and work on kind of a sort of universal time frame. Because we have had episodes that, one as short as 30 minutes, and then we've had all the way up to past 2 hours. Try and find kind of a sweet spot. Also, I'm putting the solo stuff, at least right now, over some off-stream gameplay. So trying to just kind of chew through that, just have a little bit of background music, just so that way, for... just kind of have a little bit extra. Still have a lot of back end stuff to work on, so maybe I can have something a little bit more professional looking for the folks that are tuning in. Which any of you who are tuning in, I do really appreciate your time. Just stopping by. Hopefully I might have given some maybe game recommendations if you are looking for something that's a little bit older and you do have the Xbox 360 era consoles in your possession, whether it be a 360 itself or PS3, and those games are available with those specific consoles. But I'm going to wrap this episode up. Once again, thank you all for your time. Next week, new episode is going to be a little bit longer. I think the topic will be really cool. I don't have a question of the day, but let me know in the comments down below, what's a game that you've been playing recently? It could be tabletop, could be board game, could be video game. Maybe you've been doing a little bit of card gaming, whichever one that is. But as I always send off the podcast, as well as my live streams or any other videos, take care of yourself, be good to one another, and stay safe. We'll see you soon. Bye.